Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Tenkaichi is a good game. I'm tired of seeing all these people talking about how bad Ultimate Tenkaichi is whenever I go online. Like if I search up Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Tenkaichi review, not one person I would ever find saying that the game is actually good and pointing out genuinely good stuff that the game had to offer. Not a single soul. I'm probably the first person on YouTube to actually make a video about talking about the good things about Ultimate Tenkaichi. And I'm probably the first person to make a video saying that it's one of my favorite games of all time. The first thing I love about Ultimate Tenkaichi is the music. The music is really good in the game. The Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Tenkaichi soundtrack is probably my favorite soundtrack of any Dragon Ball Z game. Like, it's really good. You know the soundtrack must be good when all these haters use the soundtrack in their videos, even when they hating on Ultimate Tenkaichi. Like, you know it's good when even the haters like it. And then on top of the soundtrack being really good, the intro to the game is also incredibly good. Like, a bunch of people, they love to say Xenoverse 2 is better and all these different things, but at least Ultimate Tenkaichi's intro doesn't suck ass like Xenoverse 2. Another thing I love about the game is the presentation, like the user interface, like just the sound effects, the navigating through the menus, different things. It's so satisfying to go through it and to select different things and like go back and stuff like that. Hear the sound effects it is really satisfying. I really enjoy it. It's really awesome. Very well presented. Another thing I like about the game, the graphics. A lot of people, they love to say the game looks like shit, but if you ask me, Ultimate Tenkaichi is actually really detailed in terms of graphics, in my opinion. Even to this day, like comparing it to a lot of the modern graphics, it still looks more detailed and like more awesome than a lot of even some of the modern Dragon Ball Z games. And even if you disagree with that, like at least the graphics in Ultimate Tenkaichi are consistent. Like what I like are games that they have in-game graphics that look so good that even when they switch to the cutscenes, they don't even need to switch to full motion video to make it look good. Like they could just use the in-game graphics and it would still be satisfying to see. That is what I like to see. And Ultimate Tenkaichi achieves that. Xenoverse 2 doesn't quite achieve that at all. And people still say that the game is better. One of the biggest arguments people tend to like to bring up with Ultimate Tenkaichi is that the gameplay is bad. They say that the gameplay is like rock paper scissors mechanic or some bullshit like that. Like, what rock paper scissors mechanic? What are they talking about? The closest thing that came to mind when they were talking about this whole rock paper scissors mechanic that they were referring to was like a lot of times, sometimes when I would play the game, like I would hit the opponent a certain amount of times and then it would stop at a certain point and then it would give the opponent a chance to strike back and then the opponent would strike back and then the player would bounce back and then have to try again. That's the closest thing I could think of when they were referring to. And if that's what they were referring to, then I think that's absolute bullshit because, in my opinion, that makes the game feel a lot more balanced and like fair, you know? because it actually gives the person on the receiving end a chance to change things around. So it doesn't feel like an Xenoverse 2 where you just keep getting hit over and over and over again. And in a lot of cases, there's just nothing you could really do about it. So I feel like that in in Tenkaichi um, makes it feel more balanced. And so when you finally break that barrier and actually get to hit the opponent all the way and do that combo and you win the game, it's more satisfying because it was actually like more challenging to achieve. Then when you get there, it's great, you know. And then in this, and then in the story mode, like when you finally beat those hard bosses and whatnot, and you get to those cutscenes, and you see the full motion video cutscenes is actually really good. The 2D animated ones. Another thing I liked was um, the free roam parts in the game, in the story mode and whatnot. The free roam parts in the story mode and the hero mode were really satisfying because it was satisfying to fly around and like see what the world had to offer and stuff like that, and the different parts you could go in, things you could do, and stuff you could see. I mean, it wasn't as in depth as in Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, but it was still really great and very enjoyable. I also think the hero mode was done really, really well. It really makes the avatar character that you created feel a lot more special. You compare that to Xenoverse 2. The avatar character in Xenoverse 2, and like, yeah, they go through time and story mode and they save the day and all that, but then you compare to the hero mode, the avatar in Ultimate Tenkaichi, and it's really, really badass and awesome and satisfying. Another thing people keep bringing up is the quick time events. If you ask me, I really love the quick time events. They're very satisfying to do, and even though they are challenging at times, like, because they're so challenging, when you beat them out and you get through it and you see all those cutscenes and awesome stuff, like, it's just like, yeah, the top of the world, you know? And that's another thing Xenoverse 2 was lacking. The difficulty overall was not able to find a good balance of difficult or easy. Like, if it was easy, it would be just so painfully easy that it would just be boring to do. And sometimes when it would be too difficult, like, it would be so painfully difficult that it would just become frustrating rather than like making you want to continue and trying to beat it like that. So it just ended up not feeling like a fun experience at all in Xenoverse 2. The World Tournament was also really well done in Ultimate Tenkaichi. Honestly, overall, there's just so much to love about Ultimate Tenkaichi. I don't know why people hate it so much. The only thing I haven't really done in Ultimate Tenkaichi is the multiplayer. Maybe people played the multiplayer and I haven't, and they just thought it was so bad that they thought the entire game was really bad. And then on top of that, hated all these other things about the game. But generally speaking, I thought the game was great. I also like the roster in the game a lot. They have a good roster. And I also like the parts in the story mode and hero mode where you could like go into the Z capsule and you can look around at different like stuff, like replays and different cutscenes from the story mode, watching over and things like that. It's really cool, and I like the music that plays. Like, there's just so much I love about the game. So it really confused me when so many people hated it online. Another big problem I have with Xenoverse 2 is when you're hitting the characters, a lot of times, like, the sound effects are so soft for a lot of hits you would do that you could barely hear it, and it would feel incredibly unsatisfying sometimes. In Ultimate Tenkaichi, like the effects that play out when you hit an opponent and the sound that plays, the sounds that play and stuff like that, like you can really feel the intensity of the hits, you know. So it's more satisfying to see and stuff like that. Another thing I love about Ultimate Tenkaichi is the big boss characters you would have to fight. Like you would have to fight like the big Janemba and Golden Great Ape Baby and Metal Cooler. Like no other Dragon Ball Z game uh had you being able to fight the giant version of Metal Cooler. And fighting the big boss characters in Ultimate Tenkaichi felt like in no other Dragon Ball Z game I've ever played. Like there are a lot of things about it that felt more satisfying for me. Honestly, Ultimate Tenkaichi is just a better game.